Fans, and welcome into PackersNews.com. I'm Kassidy Hill, joined by Ryan Wood. We are here at Lambeau Field. We just finished up Matt LaFleur's Monday press conference. Ryan's a little cold, so I think we'll do the fast version of this. But Matt LaFleur, he didn't go into a ton of detail, but he hit on several important topics in today's press conference. Let's start with the injuries. We got an update, quasi-update, on Aaron Jones, Whitney Mercilus, and Rashawn Gary. Seems like they're going to get 2 out of those 3 back. What were the biggest things you took away from what he said?
That's important, but I have to commend you because you're from the South. she's from like Alabama and Florida, and it's warm down there. It is not warm here, and she's handling this better than I am.
It's a different sort of cold there. I'm about to give you all a quick science lesson. In the South, there's more humidity, and so when it gets cold, it's a wet cold. It gets in your bones, and no matter how many layers you put on, it is bone-chilling cold.
It feels in my bones right now. It feels very, very in my bones. So, no bones to speak of with Aaron Jones. That's an MCL. Boy, the Packers dodged one there. When you saw Aaron Jones down on this field, not much more than 24 hours ago, you hard not to think the worst, right? I mean, that's a season changer if Aaron Jones doesn't return. He is the engine to that offense. Why did the Packers not get much done on offense yesterday? Because they didn't have Aaron Jones do much, right? Especially in that first half. And then A.J. Dillon got rolling. So it'll be the A.J. Dillon show for the next few weeks. But Aaron Jones will come back, and all of Packerland said amen, because that's huge for this team. Rashawn Gary, they're still evaluating according to Matt LaFleur. But it sounds like he's in a much better situation than Whitney Mercilus. Matt LaFleur didn't officially end Whitney Mercilus' season, but he sounded exactly, speaking of Whitney Mercilus today, the way that he spoke of Robert Tonyan. When Robert Tonyan had the ACL and it was not official yet in Arizona.
When Whitney Mercilus' name was brought up, Matt LaFleur said, and I quote, "Yeah, that's tough. I really feel for him." That was his immediate response.
And that's not usually what you want to hear if you're hoping a player avoids major injury. So we'll see. It's not official yet, but it sure sounds like they got a lot thinner at outside linebacker. There is some good news, though, maybe with Rashawn Gary.
If they don't get Rashawn Gary back for a couple of weeks, and same with, it sounds like Mercilus is going to be out for a while, can they get by with the pass rush they have until they get to the postseason?
Yeah, they can win games. The problem is Rashawn Gary was really ascending. 5.5 sacks in 10 games. He had 5 sacks in 15 games last year, already a career high. And Whitney Mercilus was ascending too. I mean, Whitney Mercilus is an established guy. He's an older vet. But he got his first sack yesterday with the Packers. His first sack since coming here with Houston. It takes a couple weeks to get comfortable, and it looked like Whitney Mercilus was really getting comfortable. So you're talking about 2 ascending guys at a premium position, edge rush. It's not going to be easy. It's a lot on Preston Smith's shoulders right now. Jonathan Garvin is getting a big opportunity here, and he's played well. He had his moments early in the season, so he's a guy that, he's a decent depth guy, but it's just, that's the word, depth. There's not a lot of depth there. I think they're mostly fine in the regular season. They're going to win a lot of games. This team's, it's loaded, right? But it's not going to be easy.
Same question with A.J. Dillon in reference to Aaron Jones. I mean, he really had an outstanding game yesterday, 2 touchdowns. He led the team, I think, in total yardage. Can he carry this run game until Aaron Jones comes back?
Yeah, A.J. Dillon is the definition of dual threat at this point. I mean, you also saw the screen pass that he that to me was
Aaron Rodgers got a lot of credit for that play.
Yeah, as impressive as it is to see A.J. Dillon run through grown men, which is what he does with regularity, which he did on both of those touchdowns here at this goal line, that speed was really, really impressive. A guy that size to hit the corner like that, get to the sideline and outrun an entire defense, you don't see that. You don't see that from a guy that size. And it was right here behind the camera, but right here where he almost jumped over the wall, which is the size of my head, a little bit taller. That might have been the most impressive play that he had. That leap might have been the most impressive play all day.
He gave a lot of credit to fans for making sure he didn't do a nosedive because he was pretty dang close to it.
He got some vert. That is some straight up vert. I got like a 2-inch vert. AJ Dillon's got like a 4 foot. I don't know how he was able to do that.
This wall's not short.
It's not short. Very much not short.
Matt LaFleur also talked today about how much nicer it's going to be. I'm putting, I guess, a few words in his mouth. He didn't say nicer. But how much easier it's going to be this week having Aaron Rodgers back at practice, because it was a little difficult just to figure out how to game plan without having him there. How much of a difference did you take away from what he was saying that it'll make this week?
Well, there's no question that they had to do some things differently with the game plan last week. It wasn't so much the volume of plays, but the riffs that they can do off of those plays were just not the same because they didn't get to practice them. This will be a different week. Aaron Rodgers is now full-time in the building. He's able to practice. That's obviously a huge thing. It's obviously helpful to be able to have your quarterback on the practice field, especially when it's that guy. So you'll from checks and cans standpoint, you're going to see more of an expansive menu.
They go into Minneapolis this week facing the Vikings. I know that they haven't started the game plan yet, but let's just look ahead for them a little bit. The Vikings coming off a huge win yesterday. Is this a trap game? I guess is the best way to ask that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a trap game because they're going to get up for it, right? I mean, this is the Vikings, and it's at Minnesota, and it's a great rivalry, and so I don't think that they overlook a rivalry. It's not a game the Packers should lose. They should win this game. I think they are going to win this game. It's one of those games you go out there and take care of business. But, what's interesting is that, they do have the Rams coming up after that, and it's a big game. It's a big game there. So rivalry
could be easy to overlook.
Yeah, rivalry game on the road. It's a game that they'll get up for, but it's certainly a game that it's going to be a tougher game than it should be on paper. Because on paper, this Packers team's a lot better than the Vikings.
Let's be honest, though. The Vikings' main threat is with Justin Jefferson. I would think a month ago, 6 weeks ago, we would be concerned more with that threat, if you're asking my opinion. But with the way this secondary has played the past few weeks, do you feel like that's going to be – do you feel more comfortable heading into that Vikings game than maybe you would have a month ago?
Well, shoot. They didn't give up any explosive plays to DK Metcalf, right? And they had him awfully frustrated by the end of that game. They've given up one touchdown pass to Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson combined in 3 weeks. I think that the way this secondary is playing, I remember 2016 especially, but there's other 2017, 2018, late in the Dom Capers era, where this secondary could not literally line up. You saw late last season, the NFC Championship game, right? They could not line up. I mean, we've seen that from this secondary over the years, and I was just saying, it looks a lot different. Like they're all in the right spot at the right time, and this is what a sound secondary is supposed to look like, and that's what the Packers have right now. Matt LaFleur said, he was asked today, what happens, when everyone's healthy, when Jair Alexander comes back, and he said that's a good problem to have. Because
great problem to have.
Yeah, like they're going to have to find a way to get all these guys playing time. You don't usually talk about that from cornerbacks because you can get 3 on the field, but they have more than 3 good cornerbacks right now.
Yeah. I was looking to see if we have any questions. I don't believe we do just yet. So I'll just kind of take your last wrap up of what Matt LaFleur had to say today. Overall, do you feel like he thinks this team is in a good position despite the injuries, going into a stretch that, for all intents and purposes, other than the Rams, should be a pretty winnable stretch?
Well, he said that this team's tired, right? I mean, that's what he said after the game, and he kind of expounded upon that because this is now week 11 and they have not had any time off. And let me tell you, covering it for 11 weeks, I feel that. So, that bye week, it's coming up, and that'll be nice for everyone involved, but especially this team. And so, yeah, they need to get to that, but it's all about finishing strong now. You got a rivalry game on the road this week. Then you got a huge Rams game. I'm just going to keep saying huge. It's a huge Rams game. And then you can get to the bye. Then take a breath and exhale then, but not before.
We do have one question from Michael. He says they need to run the ball more, but can they do that right now when they really only have one healthy back and Patrick Taylor?
A.J. Dillon's a big dude, and the bye week is coming up. I think that for the next 2 weeks you're going to see a healthy portion of A.J. Dillon because it is a short time frame. One, Aaron Jones must come back, and again, the bye week coming up. So he carried the ball a ton at Boston College, and first season and a half in the NFL, not that much. He should be ready to have at least a couple weeks of a heavy workload.
We will be there.